Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you for asking me to share. May the meditations of my heart and the words of my mouth be pleasing to you, God. Amen. So any of you that don't know Latin, amen means so be it. I'm going to light a candle. It was cold, bleak, biting weather. The fog poured in at every crack and keyhole. The steeple clock had just struck 4, but already it was quite dark, for I remember I lit a candle to see by. A little bit of Charles Dickens there. I can quote almost anybody. I'm an actress. I'm an addict. I'm a creative. I have compulsions about my body and how you think about my body, because I know all you ever do all day long is think about my body. All you ever do, every time I step out of the house, you're just thinking about my body. Even when I'm not there, you're thinking about my body, just like me. I know you're all completely obsessed about the size of my body, just like me. That the wiggly bits, the jiggly bits, you know, the less pretty parts. I light a candle because when 2 or more are gathered in God's name, God is there. I also should tell you I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD, so all bets are off as to what I can pay attention to at any given moment. Kind of like that dog, squirrel, squirrel. You know, I was like that with the FOOD. It's not about the food, by the way. Yes, this is Overeaters Anonymous. Overeaters, undereaters, obsessors, restrictors, complainers, obsessors, obsessors, obsessors. It's people that are stuck in their head about their body and how people think about their body and how people think about them. We're just overthinkers. I'm addicted to more love, more compassion, more understanding, more forgiveness. I've always needed more until you showed me how to get it. And you showed me with this book that I hated. 30 years ago, you showed me this book and I didn't like it then. I absolutely adore it now. And I really didn't like the big book thumpers at all. When I came into these rooms, it was 30 years ago. We didn't have the OA text. I have original OA texts. I have the first 12 by 12 that is only the tradition. It was only the steps, not the traditions, before we had the steps and traditions. My Just for Today, this is bragging rights here. My Just for Today has a hardcover. Anybody else here? Raise your hand if you've got a hardcover Just for Today. Yay, there's my tribe. Thank you. Every once in a while, I need you to be the bobblehead dog in the back of the car. I need to know that I'm not alone, because otherwise I get in my head, I think I'm the only one. I think I'm the only one that thinks like this. I think I'm the only one that eats like this. I think I'm the only one that's scared like me. I just kept thinking it was just me. And I was never enough. Because those bitches in the attic, bitch isn't a swear word, by the way, it's the name of a female dog. And FUCK is an acronym for fornication under carnal knowledge. I'm not supposed to use bad words. I didn't use bad words for 30 years while I was a public educator. So I had squeaky clean language and a lot of rules. I'm really good at rules. I need rules. I have to follow rules and then I have to enforce them. I have to. Do you hear me a lot? Me. It's because I'm an addict and it's all about me. People used to say, it's not all about you, Diane. Well, actually it is. My life is completely all about me. And my perspective is from these 2 eyes. These are the only 2 eyes I have in my head. We all got 2 eyes. Well, hopefully we all started with 2 eyes. My dad used to have a whole bunch of really fun expressions. Better than a poke in the eye with a burnt stick, he'd say. And I used to listen to all his expressions and think, well, just about anything is better than a poke in the eye with a burnt stick. And then I'd go off in my head. Why the heck would you take a stick and burn it and then not just play with the fire some more? That was my thought. Like, if I have fire, I'm going to play with fire. I love playing with fire. I also love running with scissors because I'm not supposed to. And I'm really good at running with scissors because I know how to run with scissors. I'm a recovering art teacher. And visual and performing arts, I got all kinds of tricks up my sleeve. And I'm not even wearing sleeves. I don't need sleeves to have tricks. You know, we all have these tricks. You know how nobody ever saw me eat? Yeah, because I ate in silence. I ate in secret. I didn't let you see. Because every time I took a bite of food, once I'd become a compulsive overeater. Do you know about pickles and cucumbers? Do you know about that? Did anybody ever talk to you about pickles and cucumbers? I'm not talking sex stuff. Don't get dirty. So a pickle is a pickle. It can never go back to being a cucumber, right? And a cucumber can always become a pickle. So any of us can become a compulsive overeater. It's in anybody. Anybody can become an alcoholic. Anybody can do this. And normies overeat with food sometimes, don't they? Didn't that tick you right off? You'd see some skinny broad, and there she'd be, you know, up at the buffet, getting whatever she wanted, because I know I couldn't. But the ones I really hated were the ones that would order dessert and then have one or two bites and say, oh, I'm full. Oh man, did I hate those witches, spelled with B. Because there they were all skinny and everything and eating whatever I wanted to eat and I couldn't eat. I was mad at them. Anyways, have I got 10 minutes yet? Trish, where's Trish? Can't see her. Can't see you, Trish. Where am I at? Not at 10. Okay, good. So we're still at what it was like. Batshit crazy is what it was like. The world, according to Diane, was a scary place, right? And I thought I had it all figured out because I'm quite smart. I'm quite brilliant, actually. I think all of us are. I think addicts are actually creatives. That's my idea. I think we're all really crazy creative in a good way or a bad way. Because there's yin and yang, black and white. For every this, there's a that. For every stinking thinking, there's a positive thought. My sponsor tells me that I am the maker of my own mess. When she first told me that, boy, I didn't like that much. I called her. She called just when this, I've been trying to talk to my sponsor all morning to tell her what's going on, because I only found out yesterday that I was going to be recorded. So of course it's a really big deal. Before it was just somebody at the meeting saying, hey, we need a speaker tomorrow for 30 minutes. Can you do it? So I checked I said, I'll get back to you, you know, because I was busy being security yesterday. I was the cop. I like that job. Hey, if you don't feel like you belong, you know what you got to do? Sign up, get in, get on the bus, Gus, right? You know that 50 ways to leave your lover? There's 50 ways to leave the food too. Just get on the bus, Gus. Just get on the bus with all us bozos. It's a great bus. Do you know who's driving? Not me. Thank God it's not me. I'm just another bozo on the bus. I'm just another one of God's messed up kids, trying so hard to fit in. So trying so hard to belong, trying so hard to be loved. So my family of origin, right? Who here has the most wonderful, nurturing, loving family of origin that totally understands them? Would everyone please raise their hand? You too? Mine don't get me. You know that Sesame Street song, one of these things is not like the others? Does anybody think that they were the odd man out in their family? Put your hand up if you were. Who was the black sheep, the blonde sheep, the sheep, and everybody else was a cow? That's us. See, here we are. It's like the land of misfit toys. I've found my peeps. I found my tribe. And when I was a visual and performing arts educator, my classroom got a name. It was the island of misfit toys. All those weirdos, we got a hand up. Is there a hand that I'm supposed to pay attention to? No, pay attention. You see, that's my dyslexia. My dysdexia and you know, my disordered thinking, my other way of thinking. It's not a disability. It's a superpower if I use it for good. Each one of us has challenges. I wear glasses. Here, just a sec. Check these out. I just got these. What do you think? Don't you think I look a little bit more intelligent? Do you think people will take me more seriously now? And what if I do this one? And I look down over the top of my, now will you really take me seriously? You know, I always wanted to be taken seriously, but I don't take me too seriously. And I like to have fun instead. Is there anybody here that prefers to have fun than to be serious? Could you just give me a little Hail Mary, a little, yeah, I'm, I just want to have some fun here. Do you know that in some meetings, there's a whole bunch of laughter? The beverage program? I'm not in the beverage program. Oh, there's 10. I see you waving. Thanks, darling. Okay, so the beverage program, I'm not a member of that, nor have I ever tried to get on that. I don't like to get drunk. I don't like to lose control. I like to have a lot of control, I got to control it all. I got to control it all because then I'll be safe. I want to be the puppet master. I just want to hold the strings and make everybody behave. Because if everybody would just go according to Diane's plan, I heard a speaker quite recently that talked about their script, not mention any names, but on page 449 or 417, depending on your version, I like to play with words too, just to see if you're paying attention. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it's because I find some person, place, thing, or situation. If you want to be speaking in shorthand, it's noun. Some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be right now in this now moment. Crap, right? Acceptance is the answer to all my problems? Really? One word can be the answer to all my problems? Are you kidding me? Oh, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. And until I could accept my ism, my alcoholism, my creativity, my other thinking, my who I am, my specialness, my weirdness, my everything I am, until I could accept me, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate, not so much in what needs to be changed in the world as what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. Shakespeare said all the rules of the stage and the men and women merely players. He forgot to mention that I was the chief critic. Oh, yes, I am. And I learned it from the master herself, Mom. Man, is my mom an amazing critic. She is the perfectionist I learned everything from. And here's a Christmas miracle for you. Are you sitting down? She's 92. She's got all her marbles. I may as well. When I'm 92, I could still have all my marbles. Do you know my maternal grandmother died 10 days before her 64th birthday? I already outlived my maternal grandmother. My paternal grandmother lived to be 101 day. 101 in one day, sorry. She was there for her 100th birthday. It was marvelous. But for her 101 birthday, she wasn't awake. At least I didn't think she was awake. She was just sleeping through her 101st birthday. And when my grandpa died, he said, where he was dying, he died at 97. He said, "Let me go, dear, let me go." And I said, "No, Grandpa, no." I was 20 something. I wouldn't let my grandpa go. Maybe I was 30 something. I don't remember. I said, "No, Grandpa, no." So my family and I, we went on vacation over to the lake. We came here to Shawnigan, where I now reside. And in those first few days that we were gone, my boyfriend visited Grandpa. He had to work. He couldn't come with us. My boyfriend got to say goodbye to my grandpa. I didn't, because I wasn't willing to let him go. So on my granny's 101st birthday, I was visiting her in a care home, and I was holding her hand, and I sang to her. And then I talked to her. I said, "Gran, it's okay to go. I'm going to really miss you. But Grandpa's waiting, and he needs you more than I do. It's okay for you to go." And she had been unresponsive for days. She squeezed my hand. My 101 day, Grandma, Her name was Bessie. Still is Bessie. Bessie squeezed my hand. Minnie, my maternal grandmother, can you believe that? Minnie, Bessie, and Minnie. My mom said, we couldn't decide whether to call you Bessie, Minnie, or Minnie, Bessie. So we decided on Diane. Right? Those weren't even short forms. Those are old-fashioned names because those are old people. I love old people because they've got the wisdom. They've got the wisdom and the caring and the kind eyes. And when you look in an old person's eyes, they might be a little milky, they might be a little watery, but you know what? They're probably loving you no matter what. Because they've lived long enough to know that, each day, this side of the grass is a blessing. That's what my dad told me. Every day, this side of the grass is a good one, Diane. My dad said so many silly things. I love my dad so much. I was blessed because my father loved me unconditionally, just like our Father in heaven, if you choose to use those words. I use the word God quite a lot. Good, orderly direction. God, great outdoors. God, gift of desperation. So when you've suffered enough, you'll do what I did on the 2nd of September, 2019. I was in one of the holiest places of the world. I was on the other side of the earth from here. I was 9 hours time zone away. And my dreams were coming true. You know, when your dreams are coming true and you get a bit scared because really, pinch me, what's going to happen next? When's the other shoe going to drop? Oh, this can't really be happening, right? When things are going your way, don't think that things are going to go bad. When things are going the way, it's because you're in line with God. Good orderly direction, great outdoors. I had the gift of desperation because I'd spent 2 weeks with another family, not my family, 2 weeks with another family in Malta, of all places. That little teeny tiny island, Malta, with pyramids 2,000 years older than the pyramids, with temples, 2,000 years. There's so much magic in this world. There's so much more for us to get excited about. There's so many places for my feet to go. My favorite doctor is Dr. Seuss. Oh, the places you'll go. Do you guys know that? Write that one down. There's something worth writing down. Write down, it's not programmed, but write it down anyways. Dr. Seuss, the places you'll go. That story tells me that I've got brains in my head and feet in my shoes. And as long as my feet are in my shoes, I'm going to be okay. You see, I was dancing the light fandango most of the time, so my feet were almost never in my shoes. And I was almost never in my body. I didn't know what full was. I remember that, that boyfriend that I told you that got to say goodbye to my grandpa and I didn't because I wouldn't say goodbye. That boyfriend, he's a lovely man. I still love him dearly to this day. He married somebody else. He cheated on me and married somebody else, but he'd done it before. So, I just don't think I was what he needed or wanted. I think I was too sick for him. But he still loves me. Do you know that I'm friends with almost all my exes? How can I not be? I love with all my heart. My husband, that's my first husband. My husband lives 3,000 miles away. And I love that man so much. He knows me better than I know myself. He's known me since I was 15 years old or 14. We got married a month after I turned 21, and he turned 21 a month later. And, it was a fairy tale wedding. He's really tall and handsome and gorgeous. And I'm short and I was cute. I was short and little. There's a foot between us. I'm 5'2" and he was 6'2". I like tall guys. I like big. I want to feel little. I want to feel feminine. I want to feel, but I'm afraid to feel. I feel a lot all the time, all the time, all the time. I'm an overfeeler. Anybody else here think they feel too much? Could you just give me who thinks that their feelings are insurmountable? Who's ever been taken out by an emotion? Who's ever lost their emotional recovery? Who's losing it right now? Oh, no, maybe not. Right? Ah, God bless you. I saw somebody wave. I saw somebody wave, and I'm looking right at you. You don't know who I'm looking at, but I'm looking right at you, sister. And you know what? If your God isn't big enough, borrow mine. Mine is. Do you know how big my God is? My God knows the exact number of leaves on all the trees on this planet right now. That's how big my God is. And my God knows the exact nature of each one and when each one will let go and come to earth. Because gravity sucks. You're going to fall down. You know why? You're an earthling. Me too. Some people make the mistake, they call me Diana, and I explain, no, I'm the earthling. I'm not the goddess.
10.
Thank you. Do you know what? It's so funny. I've got a lot of faces here. I looked at one person and they saw me. Do you know that they sent me back a heart? They saw me seeing them. How can that happen? Because we are powerful beyond our own knowing. We are each of us higher powered. Each of us is God's beloved kid. Each of us is already sparkly. Look at Alan, not to mention I'm jealous of his background. I saw him earlier and I said, is that a virtual background? Do you know what? It's not, guys. That's his real background. I thought he just had a way cooler. Look at, see, move those lights for us. Let's see, it's real. It's real. We never know what's real and what's not until we do. So I'm going to show you how I get real, and I'd like you to get real with me. I say my trifecta. Do you know what a trifecta is? That's a winning combination at the track. Yes, it is. Am I a gambler? Absolutely. I gamble all the time with my heart. I fall in love every single day. But I don't get heartbroken every day like I used to. I've got a new word. I'm polyamorous. Doesn't that sound sexy? That means I can love more than one person. There's a clap I see. Yoo-hoo! Who else is polyamorous here? Who else can love more than one person at a time? Give yourself a great big hug for me, please, right now. Here's how you do it. You go like this. Give yourself a big hug, everybody that can. If you can reach around. I'm little now. Look at me. I got a waist. Not supposed to flash. I know. Luckily, I'm not a Zoom bomber. And it's okay if a Zoom bomber comes. Do you know what that means? That's just another sick person. I pray for them. We thought we had some bad Zoom bombers yesterday in the big virtual meeting. We had worse ones when I went to my home group. We had a way worse visual bomber. And there was people that were really taken out by that. I was praying for that poor soul. I thought, oh my gosh, that's the only way you know right now to get love and attention is by jumping into a 12-step meeting and showing yourself doing stuff to yourself. Oh, my darling, my heart went out to that poor soul. I'm so glad that's not how I get love. I get love because I am love. I am filled with God's love. I am filled and overflowing with God's love. And I have big emotions. Put your hands up like this just for a minute. Take your thumb of whichever hand you want, stick it near your ear to remind you you've got this sense of hearing. And now take your index finger, touch your eyebrow to remember you've got this sense of touch. Take your middle finger and touch it near your eye. And then take your ring finger and stick it at your nose. And then your baby finger at your mouth. That's how I used to teach the kids about the 5 senses. And whenever I did stuff like this in front of my class, they really paid attention. So we got our 5 senses, right? Or 6 or 7. Because which sense did I use to connect with that one person I'm seeing on my screen? How did that one person know I was talking directly to them? I've got more senses than 5. But I ought to get back in my body because this is my earth suit. And I got to be grateful for this earth suit, even though I've got the friendliest arms on the planet. Do you know how friendly they are? Oh, Lord. They are so friendly. I go like this. I go, bye, Bye. Thanks for coming. Y'all come back now. You're here. And long after I stop waving goodbye, those happy arms are still saying, y'all come back now here. Right? I was told these are my wings to get to heaven. I'm already here. This is heaven. This is it. Right here, right now. I am surrounded by people who get me. This is exactly what I dreamed of being all of me. Let me tell you a little bit about Michelangelo and David, beloved David. Who among us has got to stand at the foot of David and see David? Michelangelo's David, the real one. There's 3 in Florence, but there's the real one in the mock-ups. I'd seen David, I'd talked about David, I'd taught about David, and I was jealous as heck about David because that's my brother's name. Firstborn David. Guess what? Guess who got the house? Whoever's got the penis gets the house, gets the inheritance. I have no penis. I like them, but I have none. No, I shouldn't say them. You know, like, I'm getting off track here. You know, we're gonna be like, oh, I see the person who asked me to share just about losing themselves. You know, that we don't have to use this one. I was all worried because this is getting recorded. But I've had penis envy my whole life. Not because I wanted to be a man. I love being a girl because girls are better. We think better. Our brains work better. You know, we've got the crossover back and forth. But then there's boys that have those brains too. So I like those boys too. And I think because I like those boys too, maybe that's why my first husband was gay. You know, he still loves me no matter what. Yeah, we had too much in common. My first husband and I both like men. And we still do. And he still loves me. No matter what. I never had anybody that was better at doing my hair, fixing my makeup, and make me look pretty. And sometimes when I'm getting ready for a date, I'll have a Zoom call with him and he'll say, no, Diane, put a little lipstick on. I didn't put any makeup on. You know, he'd be mad. No, he wouldn't be mad. He loves me no matter what. He says, you look fine anyway. And he kept saying, it's not about your body. I fell in love with the person, Diane, not your body, the person. How many times have you apologized for being overweight or underweight? Don't. That's just what you had to do for today. You had a limited toolbox, and so did I. I did what I could to survive up till now. I'm almost a retiree. I'm retired, but I'm not that age yet where I get the benefits. Don't stick a fork in me. I'm not done. Don't put me on a pedestal. I'm not a statue. I call myself the clay fairy because I work with clay. And I never realized how appropriate that is for me to be the clay fairy. Because clay is bendable and moldable. And sometimes you add clay and sometimes you take it away. So they, you know, the people with they on their foreheads,
2 minutes.
They said to Michelangelo, time, they said, Michelangelo, how did you ever carve David? And he said, David was always there in the stone. All I did was remove the parts that were not David. And that's what God is doing for me one day at a time. Removing all the parts that are not Diane. I am more my authentic self than I have ever been. I am more happy, joyous, and free than I've ever been. I've gone from size 18 to 8 in 3 years, 3 months, and some days. I got on my knees and I asked God to show me forgiveness. I said, show me forgiveness, God. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do I forgive my family? How do they forgive me? What the heck does forgiveness even look like? I wouldn't know forgiveness if it jumped up and bit me. I said all that to God and more. And then I kept getting on my knees every time there was a place of worship, because it doesn't matter what place of worship. Just go there. Just go there. Get on your knees right now. Get on your knees and ask God to show you what you need to see, because God will never take you where God's grace cannot protect you. Haichka from the unceded territories of the Squamish, the Musqueam, the Hokkien, the Cowichan, the Malahat, the people of this earth, to whom I am in great debt for letting me be here. Thank you for my abstinence. God bless you. Amen.
Wow. Thank you. so much, Diane, for taking us on that incredible ride. Been a pleasure to listen to part of your journey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we'll give you a couple of moments. Hope you could see the love and feel the love, and the rest of us back to you. Okay, so we will now try and open the meeting for Q&A. If you do have a question for Diane, please post this into the chat to Kara. And Kara in a moment is going to ask those on your behalf. I'll hand the rest of the meeting over, hopefully, to Kara. You've got some questions.
Thank you so much, Alan. And, what an incredible share. Thank you so much, Diane. Oof, and I see we're in the same time zone. Yay. As anybody, the chat is open. They'll send it directly to me and Alan so that we can ask Diane some questions, because we have just about 10-15 minutes. I have one first. Diane, can you tell us, your path to find your higher power? Was it easy, difficult?
Great question. Thank you so much for asking that. I could talk to that the rest of my life. I've always had a higher power. I've always had a higher power. I had that sparkle. I was like a little fairy in the woods. I was the little forest nymph. And if I could just be in the woods, I was okay. If I could just be near a stream, I was okay. If I could be near the ocean or a river, some body of water, I could feel the magic of God always. I could look in a raindrop and see God. I'm dyslexic, I told you that. I could see dog in God. When you look in a dog's eyes, what do you see? Unconditional love. Doesn't matter how bad your morning breath is. In fact, my dog prefers my morning breath because it's more stinky. She's a compulsive overeater as well, by the way, and she's on a weighed and measured food plan. My dog has taught me more about God than anybody else. So God is in each one of us already. God is in every flower, in every seed. God is everywhere. My sponsor tells me God is everything or God is nothing. You decide. So every time you think maybe it could be God, just give God credit. That's what I did. So, when you get that parking spot, you go, holy crow, I never get a parking spot. That's amazing. Thank God. That time that you got to leave one bite on your plate, you didn't clear everything on your plate. You got to have the wherewithal to know, I still want it, but I'm going to leave one bite for God. I'm just going to leave one bite for God on my plate. The first time I left one bite for God on my plate, that was a Christmas miracle. So that's evidence of God. So every time you see evidence of God, please don't eat, Dylan. It doesn't look good. Thank you. My eating is a sacred time. I bring God into everything. I look down at my plate and I see God in the food that's on my plate, in the beautiful fresh vegetables. Half my plate's fresh vegetables. Quarter of my plate is some kind of starchy or something protein, or not protein, quarter protein, quarter starchy thing, and half vegetables. And I look at that plate and I look down and I say, thank you for this food, God. Please bless it and me to thy service. I was taught about God my whole life, weren't we all? Oh, please let Jackie in. I was taught about God my whole life. I just didn't think that, there was a lot of big, bad stuff going on in the world. So me being fat, it didn't seem like a thing I could ask God for. I'm just a chubby kid that eats too much and gets distracted and doesn't pay attention and can't spell and pisses off her parents and makes her brother and sister jealous because she takes up so much attention all the time. No wonder they don't want to take my amends. I was a difficult sister, and I was always blaming them. Now I have love and peace in my heart, and I send love and peace to them. They still don't want me in their lives. It's okay. Maybe one day they will, but it'll be okay if they never accept my amends, because God already has. All I need is God to forgive me, and God forgives me for everything right when I'm doing it. And if God can forgive me, I take my page from God. I will forgive me. I've learned how to forgive me through the steps. My sponsor is the kindest sponsor on the planet. She's taught me about God. It's like, I think she is God. I know God speaks through her, but she's not God. She's 100% human. God speaks to me through you guys. God spoke to me through my students when I was a teacher. You know, I got paid a lot of money to be a teacher for 30 years. If you look at how much I got paid over 30 years, that was a lot of money over 30 years. You know, the day-to-day didn't seem like much, and I went into a lot of debt trying to live in the most expensive city in Canada, on the second lowest paid salaries in Canada. I could bitch and moan, or I could say I loved what I did because God put me in the right place. I got to put my hands and feet and head and heart to good use. Let God use you as God's instrument of peace, and you'll never be sad again. Let God use you. Read the 11th step prayer. Go to AA 12 and 12 and read that prayer of Saint. It's in the CC's, prayer of Saint Francis of Assisi. Read that. God, make me an instrument of your peace. And if you don't like reading, listen to it. You can hear Sarah McLachlan. She's a Canadian, you'll know her. Listen to Sarah sing it. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That where there is this, I may bring that. That where there is this, I may bring that. When I see somebody acting badly, and I'm supposed to say, bless them, change me, you don't have to mean it at first. You know that? You know that. Did you ever have a sponsor that told you, you got all your resentments on that list? You know that. Who's got a resentment list? Anybody got a resentment here? Anybody? Can I see a hand? Anybody got a resentment? Okay. So once you take that through, then you find out that you are the maker of your own mess. It was what you were telling yourself all along that made you so sad. And by you keep telling yourself that thing over and over and over again, that thought said over and over again, that's what I'm thinking is the truth. It's just the stinking thinking. It's just the bitches in the attic. It's not God, right? It's just the voices in my head thinking that if I remember every criticism ever said to me, then I can stop them before they come. Hey, I know, maybe I'll criticize myself first. It won't hurt as much. And I did that a lot. How many of us have put ourselves down? I'd rather call me fat than you call me fat. I was morbidly obese, according to my doctor. And I had hecklers yell stuff to me when I crossed the street. I had thighs that bled. You know the shame. I sat in a chair at a family reunion and it sunk into the ground. I've broken chairs. I've split my pants. I've bent over. I've done all that stuff. I've got the shame. I can focus on the shame, or I can focus on the lesson. The lesson is that God loved me all along. God doesn't care the size of my body. God just wants my heart. So I turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand God. And I say the trifecta, the third step prayer. Join me if you can. If you can unmute and say the third step, don't let me say it alone. God, I offer myself to thee.
God, I offer myself to thee.
To build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, thy peace. It's not Diane's will, Diane's power, Diane's peace. It's God's. Give it all to God. God can take it all. Every insult, every shame, every hurt. God can take it all. God forgives you. You can even be mad at God. You can yell at God. You can sing to God. God is going to love you. God is that parent. What parent says to their child who's learning to walk, okay, kid, you stumble one more time, that's it. You're cut off. I'm not going to show you how to walk. That's it. Don't you dare fall. Okay, that's it. Not going to teach you to walk. What parent tells that to their child? That's how God is with us. Is anybody eating right now? We're all abstinent. Who got up the earliest this morning? That's who's got the longest abstinence. I'm abstaining from my separation from God. Step one is this. We are powerless over our separation from God, and our lives have become unmanageable. All the other steps are the same. Doesn't matter what your ism is. God is everything or God is nothing. May you find God now. You can find God in church, synagogue, mosque, flower, butterfly. Come out of your cocoon, fly into the arms of God. God wants you to be all you can be, your sparkly self. And we're afraid to shine bright, aren't we? Because every time we shine bright, somebody's going to smack us back down to size. And it's only because they're scared or jealous or hurt or angry or. And when I'm starting to judge them for how they're reacting to me, do you know what I'm doing? I'm judging God's handiwork again. Who the heck am I? So if I don't want to be judged, I got to stop judging. If I want compassion, I got to have compassion. Tell infinite God your finite problems, and all will be well. All is well in the moment. If you need to come back into your body, breathe it in through your nose. If you breathe in through your nose, it slows it down. So let's all do that. Breathe in through your nose as big as you can. The longer I take with the breath, the longer I take to let it out, the more I come into my body. And when I come into my body, I notice, oh, my feet are cold. I should have socks on. Or I notice, oh, I'm hungry. You know all those feelings in your body? It's not always hunger, it's feelings. And when you work the steps, because that's the only way out is through. It's not the meetings, it's not the tools, it's the steps. It's the work, and more work. Work, and more work. Do you know who I rely on more than my sponsor now? My sponsees. You know why? I give them my best. So I don't have the bitches in my attic and the comedic vassals in my head. I've got the words of my sponsor. And when I can't remember the words of my sponsor or my God Squad or one of you guys, my sponsees tell it back to me, because I really prepare before a sponsee. If I'm working the steps with a sponsee, I am grounded. I am all in. I prepare a lot before I work the steps with somebody. So I am giving my best. When I'm giving my best, I am God's vehicle. It's not me. Do you ever say stuff and then you go, oh, heck, what did I just say? And someone goes, oh, that really helped me. Oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Oh, thank you. And then they all go, and you're going like, what the heck did I say? Who's had that experience? What the heck did I say? Put your hand up. Give me a wave. Give me a thumbs. Show me. You've been there, right? That you said something brilliant and you don't know how. Do you know how? You let God in. Every time you let God in, you're brilliant. You're shining. You're sparkling. Be your sparkly self as God made you, and God will be well pleased. Thank you for asking me to share.
Hi, Diane. Thank you. We do have a couple more questions. How did you find the courage to turn it over to your higher power, to give it all to the higher power?
You got to face the fear and do it anyway. Someone said you got to walk into the fear. Sometimes you got to run into the fear. Sometimes I run into the fear holding scissors. You got to face the fear, because you know what? It's just fear, F-E-A-R. It's an acronym. We got a lot of those, right? Who knows those acronyms? Right? Face everything and recover. Or fuck everything and run. You choose. If God's nothing, fuck everything and run. Joke them if they can't take a fuck. Right?
Let's see. We have one more question here. It's kind of a two-parter. What part of your recovery was most difficult, and what was the most challenging, and how did you overcome it?
Making amends with my mom. Bar none. I'm going to say a sentence that I'm glad this is being recorded now, because if I should die before I wake, this will be recorded. I'm fully reconciled with my mom. I am. I love her. She was the biggest source of my pain. And I love her so much. I love my mom so much now. We had a hate-love relationship for 64 years. She's 92, I'm 64. And this year I got to fully recover from my wounds. I got to find out that I am enough. I always thought I was not as good as my brother and sister. I'm not the same as my brother and sister. I'm quite different. But there was a time when my mom was upset and hurt and her body was hurting her, and I was trying to coach her into feeling differently. So I used some of the stuff I use with my sponsees, and I coached her into breathing, and I went, just come into your body, Mom. I know it hurts, but breathe in, breathe through some big breaths, Mom. I'm going to ask you a question in a minute. Are you breathing, Mom? Are you breathing? I'm going to ask you a question, Mom, and I want you to tumble out the first 3 things that come to your mind, okay? And I got her to breathe slow. And then I asked her, what are 3 things that you love no matter what? And in one word, she said, David, Diane, and Denise. I am enough. I am in the middle. I have been a difficult child, and she loves me enough. And you know what? The healing goes backwards. So me thinking my mom didn't love me as much as David and Denise, that was my own stinking thinking. She doesn't love me the same because I'm not the same. On my first amends with my mom, my dad still alive, she told me after my first amends that I had caused them more pain and suffering than my brother and sister put together. What a bitch for saying, eh? Can you believe that your own mother would say that? And then in the same breath, she said, and then you've also given us more joy than David and Denise put together. She says, Diane, you're our child of extremes. So the pendulum used to spring really wide. Any of you ever read Khalil Gibran about joy and sorrow? The depth of your despair is equal to the height of your joy. So some people are kind of flatliners. They feel nothing. We feel this and this and this and this and this and this. Next time you do the Roseanne's thing, when we say I put my hand in yours, put one arm straight up, give it to God. That's what I do. I put my hand in yours, God. And together we can do what we could never do alone. No longer is there a sense of hopelessness. No longer must we each depend upon our own unsteady willpower. We are all together now, reaching out these hands. Let me see your hands. Show me your hands. Show me your hands. I know you're not eating. You got hands. You're abstinent. Reaching out our hands for power and strength greater than ours. And as we join hands willingly. Nobody's grabbing us. Nobody brings us to a meeting kicking and screaming. We join hands willingly. Because together we can do what we could never do alone. I can't do this without you guys. And it's my sponsees that saved the day today for me. I reached out to my sponsees, and those are the ones that gave me the courage. When the person who asked me to share then sent me the sheets that said that I was going to be recorded, I really freaked out. This is the first time that I've known that I'm being recorded. So I really went batshit crazy. I had to really call my sponsees, and they gave me all the words I needed because I've given them all my best. I don't have bitches in my attic anymore. I got kindness and grace and compassion. I got your words in my head. Thank you. Thank you for your words. Thank you for filling my heart with peace, the peace that passes all understanding. Be quick to see where religious people are right. There's an infinite number of paths to God, and none of them are wrong. May you find yours now.
Thank you, Diane. What a beautiful words to end our meeting on. And I'm going to turn it back over to Alan for some of the details.